Project ECHO is a telementoring model that teaches specialized medical knowledge combined with case-based learning to increase the capacity of providers in rural and underserved communities. Project ECHO sessions include a didactic, patient case presentation, and case discussion. The didactic for this session, presented by a local physical therapist, focuses on modern pain science and provides strategies for working with patients experiencing chronic pain.
Hi, I'm Dan Stouffer, a doctor of physical therapy and therapeutic pain specialist with Pro Rehab Physical Therapy, and today we're going to talk about pain and current concepts of pain. So to start off, we have to kind of look at the old conceptual model of pain, which is still in use today. We call it the biomedical model of pain, and it's based on observances by Louis Descartes, and it's over 350 years old. This model just assumes that pain occurs as a result of injury. As you can see on this picture here, the person has their foot in the fire. A pain signal input goes into the nervous system up to the brain. The problem with this model that we know today is that it assumes that injury and pain are the same issue. Based on that, it also assumes that an increase in pain means there's an increase in tissue injury, and that the more pain that occurs, the more issue there are with the tissues involved. A more modern concept of pain today as we know it is, we would define it as, it's a multiple system output activated by an individual's specific pain neural signature. The neural signature is activated whenever the brain concludes that body tissues are in danger and that action is required. This model is based off a study by a man named Louis Gifford, who was one of the first scientists to really look at pain in and of itself back in 1998. And he came up with what we're using today called the mature organism model. And it actually promotes pain not as an input into the nervous system, but as an output of the brain. From this picture here, you can see that either from tissues or from the environment, there's input into the nervous system. And it's simply a signal at this point. We could call it a danger signal. That danger signal is sent up to the spine through the brain, and in the brain, it's processed through a bunch of cognitive processes. The brain looks at what's the situation, what's the environment, what are the brain's beliefs, has it had anything like this before, any history? And then based on those cognitive processes, if the brain feels that there is imminent danger, then it will output pain to evoke a response either to withdraw from the environment for safety or to evoke a response in the tissues for inflammation, healing, repair, and such. What we now know is that for every person that has had an injury or an event, about 25%, 1 in 4, will experience chronic pain. And what we've learned is that the nervous system, for a multitude of reasons, will become hypersensitive. The nerves are very easily triggered. This picture here to the far left, it shows a normal electrical response of a nervous system, or of the nerves. And you can see from the arrow that there's lots of room for activity. In the chronic pain patient, the nervous system has become hyperactive. And in the second picture to the right, you can see that now there's very little room for activity before, when the nerves are stimulated above a certain level. As you can see in the third picture, it sets off an alarm. All right, when the alarm goes off, it says danger, danger to the brain, and then pain is outputted. So to address this, we really have to dig down and address what the patient's cognitions and beliefs are about pain. And a man named Vladen came up with this, what's called a fear avoidance model. And it's basically what it shows is that in a pain event, a person has two choices. They can go to the left of the model, have no fear, and confront the issues, and then which promotes recovery. Or they can go to the left of the model, to the left of the model, and they assume the worst possible outcomes. We call it pain catastrophizing. When this happens, it promotes more fear, which in turn promotes hypervigilance of movement, avoidance of movement. And then as therapists, physical therapists, we know that when tissues aren't used, when there's lack of movement, then muscles become disused, and then there's weakness that ensures there's less movement, and then as a result it provokes more pain, and then a vicious cycle ensues. As more pain occurs, there's more catastrophizing, more fear, less movement, more tissue disuse, etc. So one of the ways we have to treat this is we want to avoid what we call boom and bust mistakes. All right, therapists in the past, what we've done, and in my early career I've been guilty of this too, is we would say 3 sets of 10. We would say things like no pain, no gain. And we would do too much too fast, and we would continuously just set off the alarm system. And the more we set the alarm system off, the patient would go home, they'd be miserable, and they would say, I can't do therapy, it hurts too much. So what we need to do as therapists is, one way to address the fear avoidance model is to educate our patients on pacing and graded exposure, where we want to challenge them enough where we push on the alarm system somewhat and then back off, let it settle down. Push a little bit, back off, and let it settle down. And in this way, along with this and educating them about pain in and of itself, we will have better results with our patients and see more progress towards function and return to normal levels of function. So that concludes this presentation, and we can accept any questions at this point.